Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome. All right, welcome to another week of Sober Tranquility. And I'm going to see, last week I couldn't see the comments, so I apologize. I'm just going to set this up. Maybe if I turn it this way, forgive me, hold on. Nope, we can't do that. It doesn't allow me to do that on lives. I looked into the issue and it sounds like it's a little bit of a Facebook issue. So, okay, well, we will just start. And if I don't see your comments, I apologize. I'll answer them afterwards like I did last week. Let's take a collective breath. I'm still drinking my my tea with the almond, what is it? The vanilla almond milk creamer, and it's fantastic. Okay. So today I'd love to, and you might notice that the background is a little different. I am actually in Wisconsin Rapids, visiting my parents, and I'm so looking forward, to going on a walk today out in the woods. It's just a beautiful day here. It's a snowy day here. I don't know if it snowed where you are. So I'm visiting my parents and working remotely this week. So you might hear a knock on the door. My dad just came in earlier. What do you want for lunch? I said, Dad, I'm going to be on the live, but if you need to come on in and you can say hi to everyone. Okay, so this week, let's talk about this idea of staying in your lane. This week's theme is self-possession. I don't know if you happen to see one of my posts on what I'm doing now is I'm creating a theme for the week that will reflect in our time together. It will also reflect in just other stuff that I'm doing outside of this group. And you might have also seen that we're going to start having Sunday night check-ins. I like Sunday night check-ins because it's a great way to kick off the week. So we don't step into Monday morning like, vroom, like letting the week carry us. And I follow a couple of people that do different YouTube or, lives on Sunday night. And I just like tuning in. Just kind of a nice little treat. So I'm going to try that out with this group, and you'll have to let me know how you like that. And if you can't attend, it's okay. As always, it'll be accessible on this page. So for this week, like I said, the theme is this idea of self-possession, and I love that idea. I think so often we allow ourselves to be controlled by outside influences, other people's chaos, other people's emotions. If you're in this group, I'm guessing that you're pretty empathic, you're pretty sensitive, and because I think a lot of times when we're sensitive to things, when we feel so much, that it's normal and understandable that we would reach for things like alcohol or food or whatever it may be to calm ourselves down, to create that tranquility. So the idea of staying in our lane is letting go of those, not even letting go, but just not allowing those attachments to be so like keyed in and plugged into us from other people. And I have a few stories, as always, that I'm going to share of my week thus far on lessons learned from myself. And I hope that it will help support you, and I hope that you share in the comments below, or if you want to hop in again and do your own live or your own video, or just create your own posts on how this relates to you and what tools you're using to stay in your lane. So today I'd like to talk about this idea of staying in your lane and that it can be difficult. I'd like to then talk about, number one, when we're in our lane, right? So, okay, you can make the decision, I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm just going to mind my own business. Well, what are you doing? No one ever really talks about what are you doing once you're in your lane. So we're going to talk about that a bit, okay? So staying in your lane is not easy. Staying in your lane can be very, very difficult. I think that the tendency to hop out of our lane is when we feel overwhelmed and we want to find the culprit, whether it be a situation, whether it be someone else that's causing our overwhelm. So I want to share with you two stories. I made some notes here. Excuse me. Stories that will reflect that oftentimes our overwhelm comes from ourselves. A lot of times we're not upset with someone else. We're upset with ourselves because we allowed ourselves to be pulled out of our lane. And when we allow ourselves to be pulled by other people's schedules or even our own schedule, when it runs us, what happens is things fall through the cracks and life becomes chaotic. And then it's really easy to step into judgment role. This is your fault. You're not coming through for me. You're creating this, rather than looking at the source of our frustration. What's the source? And oftentimes it's being a people pleaser. It's trying to be be there for everyone else and forgetting about ourselves. So I've got a story to share. On Friday, that was what, 5 days ago, I was heading up here to my parents, and I thought it was going to be an easy peasy Friday. So many of you know that, yes, I run this online community. I also I do some consulting work for a former colleague out east and within their company. And I thought, well, today's going to be easy peasy, a couple phone calls, no big deal. It turned into a circus on Friday. I'm not even kidding. And so I was supposed to get out of Milwaukee by 1 o'clock and be at my parents' by 4. I did not get out of Milwaukee until close to 4. There was a point in time that I almost came to tears. Hi, Peter. I almost was brought to tears from the overwhelm that I was experiencing on Friday. And so I'm trying to get out of Milwaukee by 1. That's not going to happen. And just things were compounding and compounding. And now I must say that if I had been drinking the night before, it would have been 100 times worse. I think when we're on the sober tranquility journey, we're able to absorb. Hi from Chicago. Hi, Peter. Thank you for tuning in. Hi from Wisconsin Rapids. I'm up north. You're down in Chicago. So what was I just saying? Oh, so I'm trying to get out of Milwaukee, and the whole day just turned upside down. And looking back, it was turned upside down by two things. Number one, I got pulled into someone else's drama. Number two, I was overwhelmed because I had not done the work that needed to be done up until that point. And that's because, again, the entire week I was getting pulled into other people's drama. So I wasn't getting my own business done. So I wasn't, so everything culminated on Friday. Getting pulled still into other people's drama, as well as, oh my God, I did not do X, Y, and Z. And so now I'm experiencing the overwhelm because I didn't attend to my stuff and my lane. And as a result, I'm freaking out. And so by 4 o'clock, I got all my stuff together. I haul I live in a condo building, 5 floors up. So it's a lot of trips up and down. If you don't have a cart, I run downstairs. Both carts are missing. That never happens. Someone's moving in. So of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, how rude, this person's moving in and they're hogging both the carts. So I'm running into the movers in the hallway. I'm like, the so-and-so people that you're working for, do they have both the carts? And they're like, lady, I don't know. So I'm fully aware of the tizzy that I'm in. I'm like in we've talked about this, little mini tornado. And I don't think I've had one of these, guys. It's been a couple of years. But I will tell you that it was a good thing that no one came in the path of my tornado, because I was just looking to vent my frustration on someone. And that really doesn't happen that much anymore in my life. But it was like an out-of-body experience. I saw what was happening. I saw myself walking down the hallway, like swearing, dropping stuff. thinking, where are the carts? So I ended up taking at least 3 or 4 trips up and down. I was sweating, getting my dog in the car, loading everything up, and I'm just about to have a freak out attack. So I see the security guard, who I adore. His name is Michael. I'm like, Michael, FYI, like, so-and-so, they're hogging the carts. And the minute I said that, guess what happened? The doors to the garage opened, and there was another one of my neighbors. Hey, Meg, what's up? She had one of the carts. So I'm making this assumption about the people moving in and how they're not obeying the rules and blah, 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 blah. And I was wrong. See, when we get overwhelmed, when we don't stay in our lane and attend to what needs to be attended to, we hit breaking points like that. So all of last week, I wasn't getting my stuff done. And as a result, it culminated on Friday, where I had to just quick get stuff out. As a result, other people needed to quick get, it was just like this ripple effect of overwhelm. And I realized once I got in the car and I made a phone call to one of my colleagues at the company out east, and I said, I'm really sorry that you had to do extra work today because of me. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, because I didn't stay in my lane this week. I didn't get done what I needed to get done. I kept getting pulled away by the drama and stuff that really didn't matter at the end of the day. A week from now, am I going to even remember all of the drama conversations I had last week that didn't matter within this company? No. Next week, will I remember how I didn't get X, Y, and Z done? And as a result, one of my other colleagues had to help me? Yeah. So that's an example of when you get overwhelmed, just stop and ask yourself, number one, am I operating in my lane or someone else's? And if you're operating in someone else's, whether it's God's business, like the weather or things you can't predict, or other people's business, things that you can't control, you gotta energetically come back to your own business. Okay, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna focus on what's in front of me. What is in front of me? And something magical happens because it's almost like your nervous system will calm down. And it's like, you're right, this isn't so bad. This is what I need to get done. And tranquility can be achieved when we try to stay more in our lane. So let's talk more about, okay, what do I have here for notes? I wanted to talk about, so let's say you decide, I am going to drive my car into my lane and I'm just going to stay in my lane. So once you're in your lane and you're not focused on other people, other situations, what are you going to do? Number one, what do you default to? So that's cool. You're not projecting onto other people. You're in your own lane. But what are your defaults? Are you going to your default systems that haven't worked for you? So let's say last week I was okay, I'm not going to step into the drama of this other colleague of mine. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to go through the documents, the data, everything that I need to do my job right. And when I was in there, what kind of self-talk am I using? Because if you're in your lane, that's great. But how are you treating yourself? Are you beating yourself up? Are you being critical? Sometimes staying in your lane isn't very fun because you've got to be with you. We've talked about this before. Tranquility on a superficial, not even superficial, but tranquility on a conscious level is oh, I just want to feel more calm and content and more of who I am at the core. Actually, when we want to achieve that sense of tranquility, isn't it that we just really want to be heard? We want to be seen by ourselves. And I think we forget ourselves. So we always talk about oh, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be understood by other people. But if we're operating in our lane, what other people think doesn't really matter. It holds no value. However, if we're operating in our lane, right, then we can think about, am I hearing myself? Do I understand myself? Do I see myself? And do I accept myself? Being in our own lane is not really fun. I mean, it can be fun, but it's not fun all the time because you really have to own everything. The not so great feelings, the awesome feelings. And when you can get to a place, and I'm still working on it. I mean, I think, like, do you ever really get there? I don't think we do, you guys. Like, so let's just throw that out the window. Let's forget that. I don't think we ever really get there. I think the process is what is there, like getting there. And so in that process of sitting with, who am I? Like, and accepting the ups and the downs. And this relates to sober tranquility. It relates to your idea. What did I tell you? Hey, Dad. Dad, did you need anything? No. Okay. Nope, that was my mother. At the beginning of the live, I mentioned that I met my parents this week, and it's hysterical. Like, I say I'm going to be on a call, and like they're slipping notes under the door like I used to do when I was 9. Anyway, I guess it's payback for when my mom was in real estate and we used to drive her crazy knocking on her door in her bedroom while she tried to work. Anyway, so where was I? So you're in your lane and, oh yeah, being heard, being seen. And I mean, how often do we really see ourselves? And when we're talking about like getting there, I think the process of acceptance, the process of being like, I'm really having an awful day, and that's okay. I'm going to be with this. I'm going to resist the urge of blaming someone else. I'm going to resist the urge of pointing the finger. And so when you're in your lane, trying out new patterns, new behaviors, rather than the default system of self-criticism, of beating yourself up, of only focusing on what's not going right, of moving on too fast and not dealing with the pain, of lingering in the pain too long and not moving forward. So there you go. Think about when you're in your lane, well, what am I doing in my lane? Am I sitting in old patterns and beliefs? Maybe that's what's keeping me stuck. Or am I moving forward with acceptance of what is? I hope that makes sense. Comment below if you would, if you're watching this now or later, if I'm making sense, and if you have any feedback on that. Okay, the second one is I'd like to talk about when you're in your lane, what kind of rituals are you using? What kind of rituals are you setting up for your day? I think it's very important to guard your time, especially in the morning, with a sense of sacredness. And so when you wake up, allow yourself to physically, emotionally, and I know it's not always doable. We have families, people have children. I get it. But I have an idea that I want to share with you that perhaps this is just a five minutes. I thought about this yesterday. 5 minutes. Now, you guys know I've talked about this before. I want to get this book, by the way. Live Like a Monk. I know one of you in the group has the book. Please let me know how you enjoyed it, or let all of us know how you enjoyed it. But Live Like a Monk is written by a man who actually went and lived with monks for a few years. And he came up with an acronym of how to set up your day like a monk. And you don't have to be a monk to do this. And the acronym is TIME, T-I-M-E. And it stands for thankfulness, inspiration, meditation, and exercise. I'll go through them again. Like, I know I said that quickly. So T is thankfulness. T is for thankfulness. And so just stepping into gratitude, listing off what are you thankful for. Inspiration is maybe reading an excerpt or a chapter from a book, or reading a quote, or listening to a podcast. M is for meditation, and E obviously for exercise, just moving your body. And I thought about this yesterday. I thought, you know what, you can knock this out in 5 minutes. I was chatting with my mom about this, who is part of the Sober Tranquility group. And I was saying, Mom, this morning I knocked out the time in 30 minutes, but it could go down to 5 minutes. And again, I don't think it's the quantity of time that you're doing this, it's the consistency. And so thankfulness, when you wake up in the morning and open your eyes, list off 5 things you're grateful for. Boom, you got the T done. I like to include my I and my E together. I like to listen to a podcast while I do some exercise. And I was thinking, well, if you wanted to knock this out in 5 minutes, you could do, 5 things you're grateful for. Take a minute for that. Probably won't even take you a minute. Inspiration, read a quote and just sit with it for like a minute, like let it really absorb into your soul and your life. Just one of, like a book of quotes. Grab a quote each day. M is for meditation. You can meditate for 1 minute. 60 seconds is a long time. It's a beautiful space of time. You can just meditate and be still for 60 seconds. And then exercise, hop out of bed and do like jumping jacks for 60 seconds. I invite you to just try this, like a 5-minute time routine in the morning. And once you get in the habit, you might start to think, this is kind of fun. Like I want to expand this. And so maybe you'll add on 5 minutes of jumping jacks. And maybe when you lean into it, yes, we have other responsibilities, and yet it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It starts to become a ritual and you're like, this is making me feel good. This 5 minutes of time, 5 minutes of time is making me feel pretty grounded, pretty centered. I want more of this. Maybe I'll wake up 10 minutes earlier before everyone else does because, hey, I'm not drinking, so I'm feeling pretty good. And so just play with that, right? Stay in your lane those first 5 minutes upon waking and see if you can expand it, even just a little bit, but 5 minutes is fine. Okay, now while we're in our lane, we've talked about, what are your default systems? What are you defaulting to? Old behaviors? Let those go that aren't working for you. Move into new ones. And we've talked about when you're staying in your lane, guard your time in the morning. Don't let anyone else pull you away. Save that 5 minutes for you, or 10, 20, 30, whatever you have carved out for yourself. And let the people in your life know, this is my sacred time. This is what I need. That is an act of self-love. That is a boundary. That's a big buzzword lately, boundaries. I like to use the word more of tender loving care for yourself. It's an act of tender loving care. I think sometimes the word boundaries to other people reflect like you're putting up a block, you're putting up a fence. No, it's just an act of self-care for myself and for you. Okay, so let's move into when you're in your lane, right? You're working, you're like, okay, I'm not focusing on the drama of other people. I'm helping other people when it's needed. I'm being of support, but I'm really going to stay in my lane today. I'm going to stop trying to control other people. I'm not going to try to predict what's going to happen because that's in God or the universe's, business. I'm just going to stay here. And I have a story to share. So when, well, let me back it up. So when you're in your lane, you can start out your morning and you can feel like good and do your meditation and you can do the acronym time and all of that we just talked about. Inevitably, things are going to hit during the day that are going to pull you off that good vibe feeling. It's inevitable. And I equate it to this. So like you're on your morning walk in nature. Let's say, in a perfect world, you get up and the birds are singing and you're on your walk with your tea and you do a little meditating in the forest and you come back and you're just feeling so great. And then the phone starts ringing and people start needing things from you. Work starts calling, family starts calling. I read a quote once that said, it's really easy to be spiritual. Or no, wait, it was a picture of a woman meditating and then a person of a woman like under the covers freaking out like, ah, it's like, actually, which one is a spiritual awakening? It's probably not the person meditating. Hopefully she's already been through the spiritual awakening. But, the person under the covers freaking out, like they're in it. They're doing the work. And when you're in that mode of, everything coming at you, instead of wanting to retreat and run to the forest and get into your like little, what do they call it? Spiritual bypassing, when you just want to like push away all the negative stuff. No, can't deal with it. And just get into my Zen place. Sometimes that's called spiritual bypassing because you're not dealing with what is. You're not dealing with reality. And so inevitably, things are going to come up that you have to deal with. And a way of grounding yourself, and you've heard this before, is simply stepping into gratitude. Like stop and just go, wait, this happened to me yesterday and I'm going to share a story. So a lot of stuff was hitting the fan and I won't even get into the details, but just rolling out a new program and all of the stuff. So I'm on these calls and my day had started out fantastic. And I got on my first call with my colleagues and I said, you guys, I just meditated. I did my time acronym. I exercised, listened to a podcast. I did my gratitude list. You guys should really do that, because they were already in freak out mode. I said, you guys should really do it. There was dead silence in there. Like they did not want my recommendations. I was operating outside of my lane. I was kind of saying, you guys should do this. I'm totally hopped out of my lane. And they weren't ready or wanting to receive it. Well, within about an hour of being on the phone with them, I started feeling like the way they were feeling, the overwhelm. And I thought, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back to my morning where I felt so grounded. But I can't. I can't go back. But what I can do is I can be here. I can be in it. I don't have to run from it. I don't have to run from the overwhelm. But what can I do to stay grounded? And I stepped into gratitude. I literally was like, I'm so grateful for internet because I'm able to work through internet. I'm so grateful for my cup of tea. I'm so grateful for this desk that is so beautiful that I get to work at. I'm so grateful that I'm able to look out at nature right now at my parents' home with the birds and the snow. I'm so grateful for the sleeping dog on my bed, which she's actually there today too. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do my work in the world. Wow. I guess all of this isn't so difficult. I can get through this. None of this will matter a week from now. This is my work in the world. It all can't be sunshine and daisies. I'm okay. So you see how everything just kind of calms down. So yeah, you want to guard your morning and do like your little mini meditation or whatever that means. You know, you want to move your body, you want to step into gratitude. You will, however, then encounter overwhelm and stress probably during the day. If you don't, that's awesome. Chances are you might. And it might be in little doses, it might be in big doses. Those moments are opportunities for you to come back in your lane, resist the urge to project your frustration on other people, own what you own without self-judgment, without criticism. I actually made a list yesterday of the things that I dropped the ball with and how I had let myself down and hence some of the people on my team because I didn't get to what I needed to get to last week. Then I wrote the second column of, but did everything turn out okay? And it was yes, all the way down the column. So again, it's that idea of sitting in what you own and own it. And also let it go. Let it go. Fix what needs to be fixed and then let it go. And always just step into gratitude when you feel like you're going over the brink. When you're, what do they say? When you're over your skis, like the ski jumpers, like when your head is over the skis and you're like out of your element, step into gratitude. It'll bring you back. It'll bring you back to your home here. Okay. And then the final thing I'd like to really end with is this idea of when we stay in our lane, when we're in there, we must manage our time and our schedule. It dawned on me a few weeks ago that I was attached to my phone, running, or I shouldn't say running, facilitating and bringing all of us together and making sure that all of you are taken care of with what you need during the 30-day reset, to make sure that you're all taken care of with what you need afterward, to make sure that I am sharing good content with you. And because this is where my joy lies, just so you know, I love the consulting work I do. This is where my heart is. I love connecting with all of you. And so that is such a priority to me, to create really good information and content for you and to make it aesthetically pleasing when you go to the membership site, anything that I put out. So that's important to me. It's also important that I work also in integrity with my other job as a consultant with companies. And so it's important for me to really be disciplined on managing my time, I've realized, and my schedule. Because what was happening is that from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed, I was attached to my phone, responding to text messages, taking calls, responding to emails, making sure everything is, the way it should be and everything's taken care of. And I thought, I'm running myself ragged. I was in my lane because I've been, you know how you have those weeks where you're so busy, you don't have time to jump into other people's lane. Like, you're in your lane. But I just really want to stress the importance of when you've gotten the concept of just staying in your lane, Well, how are you driving in your lane? And are you driving in a way that's like erratic and crazy and like you're not paying attention to the signs, or you're not putting in your GPS for directions? Then that needs to be looked at. And I had to look at that. And I'm in the midst of doing that right now, where I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to schedule in time to respond to emails, to respond to text messages. I don't have to respond to a text message the minute I receive it. And so I encourage you, when you're in your lane, to really manage your schedule, manage your time. Do not let your schedule pull you. Don't be a victim to your schedule or to time. I want you to master your schedule and master your time. You guys have enough energy now. You're in this, whether you're in the reset or afterwards. This, again, what have I said all along? This is not about alcohol. It's about cultivating more peace, happiness, tranquility, joy in your life. So alcohol is just kind of over here. It's kind of like, I can take it or leave it. It's not the prevailing force in your life. It's not controlling you. The tagline is live more, drink less. So in order for you to live more, you have to stay in your lane, and you have to manage your time and your schedule in a way that feels authentic and good to you. And alcohol's over here. And so you have the energy now by taking a break, I'm sure, in terms of time and energy, resources, to really fine tune your schedule, to decide really where you want to spend your time, because I'm guessing you got a lot of time that has opened up. I know I do. My evenings are no longer 2-hour happy hours with, like, I don't know, Friends or the nightly news. It's like 2 hours of what do I want to do? This is kind of fun. And so one of my, things that I'm instituting now is to just take a little moment of time each night, look at my day the next day, and just really map out, when am I going to be focused on responding to other people? Okay, there you go. Stay in your lane. Continue to share. I'm excited. Rather than waiting until next Tuesday for another workshop, I'll be doing a live Sunday night. I believe, what is it, 7:30? I think it's 7:30 Central Time. I think it is. I think it's either 7:30 or 8:30. No, it's 7:30 Central Time on Sunday night. I'm going to try that out. Just like a short little live, little inspiration. I'd love to see you there. And as always, I love your comments. I love you guys. Thank you for being such a highlight in my life. I always wanted to create a community around this idea of Three Pines, which is the village out of Louise Penny's novels. If you haven't heard of her, check her out. She's got a cult following. They're murder mysteries set in a little village outside of Montreal. And I feel like in this community around tranquility and bringing more joy into your life, with all of your senses, right? We talk about tranquility treats and just this tender loving care. I like to say tender loving care, tender loving coziness, tender loving connection with yourself and other people. And that's what Three Pines is all about. So I encourage you to step into tender loving care, coziness, and connection with yourself and other people this week, and see what happens. Sending you love. I'll see you soon. Bye.